The dissident right has a theory about pornography. The first transgression shocks you. Then you become accustomed to it. The next performance has to go further. The image gets harder. The number gets larger. Yesterday's limit becomes today's minimum. In 2024, Lily Phillips staged an advertised 100-person event, later documented by filmmaker Josh Peters. Before it was released, she announced plans for a 1,000-man event. In January of 2025, Bonnie Blue claimed she had reached 1,057 participants. Months later, Phillips claimed 1,113. None of these quote-unquote records was independently verified. That barely mattered. The number was never just a statistic. The number was the headline. Now keep the mechanism and change the commodity. Yesterday you tell the audience that the mainstream media lies. Today you reveal a hidden network behind the lie. Tomorrow you need a theory so elaborate that even Alex Jones gets to tell you to slow down. One market escalates sexual spectacle, the other escalates suspicion. And that is why Candace Owens is the Bonnie Blue of the dissident right. Yes, I know what I just did. One of the oldest ways to demean a woman is to turn another woman's sexuality into an insult against her. That is not the comparison. The comparison is between two creator markets where attention decays, boundaries become inventory, and disgust becomes distribution. But there's a second problem. I gave this video an outrageous title because I believed it would travel farther than a calm title about incentives and evidence. A quieter title was available. I chose this one. I wanted the click. If the title worked, you and I have already entered the transaction. I supplied a boundary-crossing comparison. You supplied attention. The platform recorded the response. So the structure includes me. Complicity is not equivalence. Owens remains responsible for her allegations. I am responsible for how I package and distribute my criticism of them. Saying that aloud does not make the title innocent. Meta-awareness is not absolution. It only makes the bargain visible. The question is whether spectacle opens into an argument or merely impersonates one. That is where the video lives or dies. A recurring argument in dissident right media is that repeated sexual stimulus raises the threshold for transgression. Apply the theory consistently. Standards of evidence can erode. Standards for accusation can erode. The distinction between a possibility, a suspicion, and a fact can erode. Call the result epistemic pornography. Content that functions less to help an audience understand reality than to deliver a sensation, the thrill of forbidden access, the adrenaline of moral disgust, and the flattering conviction that you are one of the few people brave enough to see what everyone else refuses to see. Here, pornography names a consumption pattern, not a woman's moral worth. The argument is that certainty can function like an escalating stimulus. Owens' career shows what happens when the constraints change. At the Daily Wire, she worked inside an institution with owners, colleagues, commercial relationships, and brand boundaries. These boundaries were not necessarily correct. Institutions can be timid, compromised, or completely wrong. But they are still friction. After months of public conflict involving Israel and Gaza, Owens and the Daily Wire ended their relationship. Owens announced that she was finally free. Independence can produce excellent journalism. It can also change the feedback system. Once the paying audience becomes the institution, an attack from an editor, newspaper, or former colleague can strengthen the outsider brand. Exclusion becomes a credential. Condemnation becomes confirmation. Evidence supporting the theory is evidence. Evidence contradicting it can be coded as suppression. A correction becomes a smear. A lawsuit becomes intimidation. The absence of proof demonstrates the sophistication of the cover-up. The theory becomes self-sealing. Now, none of this proves that Owens is lying. I cannot inspect her mind, and I do not need to. She may sincerely believe what she says. Sincerity does not abolish incentives. A market can reward escalation whether the creator is cynical, sincere, or some shifting mixture of the two. The format rarely rewards a truth teller for waiting 6 months for better evidence. It rewards the moment when she looks into the camera and says, "I know what happened. I know who did it. And I'm the only person fearless enough to tell you." "I don't know" is responsible analysis, but it is terrible prophecy. Consider Owens' campaign concerning Brigitte Macron. Owens staked her professional reputation on the claim, unsupported, that France's First Lady was born male. The story expanded into an 8-part series. The Macron's legal complaint says Owens' programming also advanced allegations involving identity theft, incest, and CIA-linked mind control mythology. In July of 2025, the Macrons sued Owens for defamation. Owens denies liability, characterizes her work as protected investigation and commentary, and has moved to dismiss the case. Owens subsequently produced further programming about the lawsuit. Then the story expanded again. In November 2025, Owens said an unnamed French official had told her the Macrons had paid for a team to assassinate her. She supplied no public corroboration. France's GIGN, which she implicated, reportedly said the allegation was false. By January 2026, an episode titled Project Looking Glass moved into claims about foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk's death. The precise distinction matters. Her absolute fact was that Kirk thought he was a time traveler, not that he literally traveled through time. But the program then entertained claims about seeing future events. That is serial escalation. A biographical rumor becomes a state conspiracy. The state conspiracy becomes an assassination plot. The assassination plot acquires a paranormal frame. The series worked not because the evidence grew stronger, but because persistence became the performance. Every refusal to retract signaled fearlessness. Every attack signaled proximity to the truth. Every new episode had to open a door behind the previous door. Owens does not need to be the most extreme person in every ideological dimension. The format rewards her for making the distance between immaculate presentation and outlandish proposition feel natural. An immaculate studio, a controlled voice, an extraordinary allegation delivered like tomorrow's weather report. Bonnie Blue fits this analogy because her escalation came with a number. There's nothing uniquely female about the mechanism. Shock jocks, male streamers, conspiracy broadcasters follow the same logic. But the audience and press converted these disputed records into a visible race. The metric exists to calculate, not to withstand peer review. The stunt is content. The announcement is content. The backlash is content. Even the reaction to the backlash is content. Every horrified pundit who repeats the creator's name, displays the thumbnail, and announces the number, completes the customer acquisition funnel. Including me just now. Criticism and advertisement travel inside the same vehicle. The analytics dashboard has no column marked "Watched in righteous disgust." Disgust is not the opposite of publicity. Disgust is publicity with a pulse. Phillips and Blue have both spoken openly about clickbait or rage bait as promotion. Even when OnlyFans reportedly rejected Blue's video and banned her account, the consequence became content. The boundary itself was inventory. Adult creators can openly describe that as promotion. Political spectacle asks for an additional privilege, however, the authority of journalism, investigation, credibility, which should raise the burden of evidence, not lower it. Shapiro, Jones, and Fuentes mark different boundaries: institutional, conspiratorial, and dissident, not points on a simple scale. Jones and Fuentes have publicly recoiled from specific Owens claims. Shapiro represents the institutional conflict that preceded her departure. That does not make them neutral referees. They are rivals, allies, antagonists, and content for one another. During the controversy around Owens' claims about Charlie Kirk's killings, Jones publicly described parts of her case as reckless, yet months later praised her performance in a debate concerning the case. In one episode, Jones gets to play the responsible skeptic. In another, he gets to endorse the fearless investigator. The feud circulates either way. When a clip from Owens' August 7th episode discussing the Lindsay Clancy case circulated, Fuentes responded with fury, telling Owens to come back to reality and come back to God. Owens said her position dated to Clancy's 2023 arrest. She called Clancy obviously not guilty and said doctors should be imprisoned, and described an intentional psychosis. The issue is not compassion or the possibility of criminal responsibility. It is converting a contested medical legal account into categorical certainty and assigning criminal blame to third parties. This does not transform Fuentes into a voice of reason. It demonstrates another market incentive. In a field full of transgression, every participant occasionally benefits from discovering a boundary in somebody else. Quote unquote, even I have limits creates the illusion of proportion. It establishes a temporary center, and it produces another clip. Owens gets to turn condemnation into evidence of fearlessness. Her critics get to borrow her audience while playing the responsible dissenter. Each side becomes content for the other. The performer trains the audience trains the performer. The critic distributes the performance while also condemning it. The platform counts belief and disgust as the same thing. Engagement. Then everyone calls the result authenticity. So will Candace Owens be overtaken? Of course. An arms race has no permanent champion, only a temporary frontrunner. But that is the wrong final question. The moment we build a league table of extremity, we reproduce the market's favorite format. The more uncomfortable question is who will reward the next escalation? Who will redistribute it while condemning it? The title of this video was designed to provoke. Saying so does not repay the moral debt. No one who publishes here is outside the attention economy. That does not make every use of it equivalent. There are still more and less responsible ways to operate inside it. The difference is not clickbait versus purity. On a platform built around attention, purity can simply mean obscurity. The difference is what happens after the click. Does the heat open into an argument? Or was the heat all you were ever being sold? If you leave thinking I found a clever sexual insult for Candace Owens, then I've made epistemic pornography of my own. If you leave more resistant to certainty without evidence, including certainty offered by people on your side, and certainty offered by me, then perhaps the outrage purchased something better than another dose of outrage. Adult content prints escalation in the headline. Political spectacle hides it beneath revelation. In both markets, tomorrow's episode must go further. The adult creator can call it rage bait. The political creator can call it investigation. The critic can call it accountability. The dashboard calls all three engagement. The creator makes the spectacle, the audience rewards it, the critic redistributes it. Long before the feed, Euripides helped canonize the version of Medea that placed its final taboo of infanticide in Medea's own hands. The shocking rewrite endured, and later generated an unfounded conspiracy theory involving the city of Corinth in the shocking rewrite. At the end of the play, theatrical machinery raises Medea above the stage. Our machinery does something slightly different. The machine turns every escalation into a new episode. Euripides had a crane, we have the feed.